Where does this meh mound of mediocrity land? Let's rank this film on the Cageometer.
Vince, where does this unbelievably great film rate on your Cageometer?
Oh man, I feel bad for how critical I'm going to be. I give this movie a 3.
3.
It just was so predictable, and then the end, like the third act, just makes no fucking sense. Like he goes to kill him, decides not to kill him, and then for some reason Benir sends his guys after him. Like it could have just ended there, and then like Benir sends his guys after him, and then he goes and kills him, and then kills himself. It's just fucking pointless. It really ruined any true sentimental meaning the film could have had, or it ruined any like larger think piece that it could have been. You know, like we talked about briefly, reflecting upon America's stance on how we enter into conflicts and wars and things like that. So I just feel, and like maybe after watching Dark, I won't be so critical of Schrader's view and like what he was trying to say. But this fucking film, man, like I gotta give it 3. We didn't need this film. That's what I'm trying to say. Cage's performance, I'll give him a 4. He wasn't awful. He wasn't great. He wasn't middle of the road. He made some choices, I take it, in this film that he thought somebody slipping into that state of mind would potentially behave. But I just kind of felt that they were more comical than they didn't draw any sympathy from me. They just made me laugh when he's like filling Milton's coat and smelling fucking plants and shit like that, and babbling to himself and shaking in the fucking bathroom before he goes. It became comical at that point. So I give him a 4. It's not his worst performance. It's not even close to his greatest performance. And it's not a middle of the road. I mean, he is very much watching Nicolas Cage do Nicolas Cage things, which it's not a bad thing, but it's not a great thing either.
Also not a great thing, yeah.
So a 3 and a 4. Those are my ratings on this masterpiece.
Nigel, where does this rate on your Cageometer?
The movie, I'll give it a 4. It's because I didn't hate it as I was watching most of it. I think if it hadn't been for the way it ended, it probably would have been a 5, because I was, it was not terrible and it wasn't great, but I was sort of invested in the story as we were going through, even though it was just kind of plotting and not and kind of boring. But they could have stuck a better landing at the end than what they did. Like I said, if they think they'd either just ended it when he leaves Benir and they both just go their separate ways, or even if he'd left Benir and then killed himself, like I think that would have been even more poignant. Like he's like, oh my God, I wasted my life trying to kill this crippled guy and now I'm going to die now. So like I really wasted everything. And he just decides to end it too. And that could have been another statement, but to have like the fake out of like that, and then they just go back to the hotel, and then there's going to get shot up at the hotel. And then he ends up just going right back and killing Benir.
It's like fucking 30 seconds later, dude.
So rushed.
Do one or the other, or do it where he goes there and then he ends up killing him and then the ending happens. Don't do this, sort of mixed message between it. So I kind
of wonder if that was maybe like it was intentional when he has his conflict with Benir, that maybe it was supposed to be really confusing, and then we get snapped out of that into a moment of clarity and everything becomes clear, and then he goes back and kills him. I don't know. I think the original intention was lost in this cut because
I think they added
it's just
that whole
confusing
whole
and weird
in the hotel when they go back. It seems like that was all added back in just to give him some reason to go back and kill him. But we don't know. I guess we won't know until we watch Dark. But so I mean, I think it could have really said something. Could have been a better movie if that hadn't been so jumbled up at the end. And I did enjoy not enjoy, but I was kind of liking him meeting Benir and then having his little episode at the end and then having Benir spout a bunch of religious nonsense. And it was sort of like you're just watching these two guys babble back and forth. And it's like, like this is what this whole story's been basically. But then at the same time, it's also like, okay, so yeah, I really did just waste hour and a half of my life watching this story play out, just to have two guys battle at each other incoherently at the end, just for a fake out ending, really, because then they just go back and undo it 5 minutes later. So yeah, it's a solid 4 out of 10 for me. Cage's performance, I'll actually give him a 5 out of 10. I thought there were some moments where, I was actually kind of feeling his portrayal as a guy with dementia. He kind of was sympathetic for it, kind of that dealing with losing yourself. It's mainly just for those moments, just him being like a broken old sad retiree whose glory days are behind him. I wasn't feeling that aspect of the film, but it was the performances of him trying to portray a guy with a degenerative brain disease that I don't think was Oscar worthy, obviously. But I think I haven't seen him do that before. I don't know how often he's done something like that, but it felt like a decent enough attempt at it and a performance of it to give a little bit of heart behind it.
Schrader said that was his idea, and that once he found out some of the side effects, he just took it and ran. And Schrader was like, you put it in a genius's hand, and he makes magic with it. I'm like,
yeah. I think some of it was good, some of it was goofy, over the top, but also maybe that's what he was going for because of the whole having overreactions to stuff. But I would still give it a 5 out of 10 just for the effort was solid, but I don't think it really wasn't effective enough to be great, but it was all right. So again, 5 out of 10, kind of dull, but I don't know.
These are better review, I guess. Better ratings than I thought you were going to give.
I liked it more than Dog Eat Dog. I'll say that much. Dog Eat Dog is the bar. It passed that.
Wow. Dog Eat Dog is pretty god awful. Okay. So on my Cageometer, I gave it a 3. This was the least enjoyable movie that we've done so far for me. I feel like Dog Eat Dog had those Willem Dafoe moments. Cage brought nothing to the table in that movie, but at least we had Willem Dafoe. I feel like Paul Schrader doesn't really seem to get how to reach Nicolas Cage. I thought the movie overall was just a mess. I mean, it was just convoluted. There were so many details that didn't need to be there that just made it more complicated. And I almost wonder if that's part of what they were going for, was to make it confusing for us so that we felt his confusion, his dementia, I don't know if that was what he's going for. Maybe we'll find that out in Dark. That's why I'm glad that we didn't watch that ahead of time, because I think our review of this film would probably be changed because of that version. But I was so bored. I checked the timer at least 3 different times to see how much more of this awfulness I had to endure. I just didn't like it. I guess that's my review. I just didn't like it. So 3 is, I can't give it worse than, Deadfall is hardly a movie. But honestly, I like Deadfall better than this, because Deadfall had those character moments and was more entertaining, and it drew me in. And I feel like we were way too harsh with Deadfall at this point. We're only 3 movies in.
I
we
think
gave
Deadfall
that a 2.
was still technically not that good of a
Deadfall
movie.
is a worse movie than...
I think
you
so,
gave it a 4, so...
Yeah. Oh, I did? Oh, yeah. I thought you meant Deadfall.
You gave this movie a 4.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole ending, I feel like you guys said, was just unnecessary to come back to it. It lost all the message. I really do feel like all of Anton Yelchin's parts were reshot or reshoots.
Yeah. Could be, yeah.
The producers trying to figure out a way to end this thing on such, not such a dour, just drive it. It almost if Benir would have lived, and then Evan just gets in the van and just drives into a truck, that would have been that would have been a better ending. I would have enjoyed that.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
It would have been really dark.
It would have said something,
Yeah.
Yeah. Life
Veneer's
is
the one who survived this whole thing when the whole movie has been
Yeah.
about killing Veneer, and really, we just watched a guy waste the end of his life.
Yeah.
Trying
the
to take
last
revenge.
moments that he has are spent trying to relive his glory days and then
Yeah.
poking a dude in the eye. That's how it ends. For Cage, I gave him a 3. I didn't think his performance was good at all. I thought it was all over the place. Like, starting with that monologue, which maybe I hated more than everybody else, but like,
No, it was
fuck,
bad.
dude, it was so over the top and weird and cagey. It was very cagey. It felt like Walter from Grand Isle,
Yeah.
just, this is a sacrifice. Like, and this is like, I don't know if it's just Nic Cage like trying to deliver what he thinks military people are like. But like,
it
this
could
is
be.
the CIA. I don't know. It's weird. It was just weird. And like all of his little moments like that are supposed to be poignant and draw you into this person's pain and like this awful thing that he's experiencing are more comical than they are, sad at most every turn. Like every time he does something, you're just kind of like, all right, okay. So why did he say, I am the fear? We like fear. Well, sometimes like
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out like where does the dementia end and the character actually is, because he's weird as hell from the moment we first meet him and over the top and strange. He says he's been suffering from dementia for a year at that point. So I guess he was already dementia Evan at that point. But
For me, it's like whenever he's, I guess, it seems more pathetic, like lost or sad or can't, find the words for stuff. That's the dementia kicking in. But other than that, was all Evan. Like, I guess like maybe the overreaction of stuff, like being angry about things, obviously being obsessed with killing Veneer. Like that's the real Evan. But for me, like the quieter moments, like when he's on the bench and he's trying to count and he's like, trying to talk to, feeling Milton's vest and stuff or jacket or whatever, where he just feels like a sad old man.
yeah, I
To
feel
me,
like
that was
if they would have
the dementia.
set up the Veneer thing a little bit better, like make it personal, because it just didn't feel like why are you so obsessed with this guy? Like every waking moment, all he ever thinks about is killing this dude, and it's like I get that he cut his ear and like he tortured him, but I didn't feel like this was some incredibly like, oh, I got to get revenge for this, like.
Yeah.
Just if there would have been something like he lost somebody in the field, like somebody he really cared about or something. If Michelle, like maybe he was in love with Michelle, and then we meet Michelle and she's got like one leg or something, and it turns out it was Veneer who took it. Anything to make me feel like he actually has a reason to hate this guy so much.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel that. And it was like, he's so obsessed with him that at a certain point I was just bored by it. And that point was like 20 minutes into the movie. And the whole rest of the movie was his pursuit of this guy that.
It was flat.
So I gave 3 and a 3. I'm standing
Fair
by
enough.
it.
Fair enough.
I hated it. I hated it. I didn't like this movie at all.
I hate it.